in each of these four colors. Each Main Street community has those four components to it that operate by committees. They may not necessarily go by those four titles necessarily, but they function under those four purposes. So on the upper left, there, the economic vitality, in Manning, we call that the business improvement committee. And so they're looking at what can we as a committee and an organization do to kind of strengthen our community base, our downtown, and support the businesses. The green one to the right, the design committee, very simply, is the purpose of that is to create a space where people will want to spend their time, making downtown pretty attractive, welcoming to visitors, those sort of things. Promotions committee is various ways you can promote Manning, promote your Main Street communities, get people to come to downtown with then the idea of educating them about the community. You've provided another nice place to be, and we're going to have events to bring you downtown, which hopefully translates into feet in the door for our Main Street businesses. And then the organization committee, they're kind of the, I want to say the nuts and bolts, but that is the fundraising arm and the volunteer support of the Main Street programs. So the Main Street programs all function as a nonprofit organization. Some of them are, we happen to be a 501c3, others may be a 501c4, some other designation that they built worked better for their community. So on the back side of this top piece kind of shows you, or is intended to show you, well, how does all of this work? And so the community vision and understanding what your local markets look like, about why people come to Manning to shop, or people from Manning go elsewhere to shop, figuring what that market analysis looks like, and then and getting input from your community members, and then looking at what they're calling transformational strategies. And so how do each of those four committees, what role do they play in meeting the outcomes, both qualitative and quantitative, that maybe the board has decided this is the path that we want to go. So it's all part of the strategic kind of planning process. So from the Main Street America, this is the information basically that goes to all of the programs across the United States, not just Iowa. So then from there, we have Main Street Iowa, which falls under Iowa Economic Development Authority. That's the category of the state government where that fits. And so Iowa joined the Main Street America program in 1985. So it's been around in Iowa for quite a while. And Manning is, well, not Manning, but Iowa in general is considered to be one of the top Main Street Iowa programs across the country. They kind of look to the group in Des Moines and us as a kind of a gem, if you will, and what other states try to emulate. So at any given time in the state of Iowa, there's usually somewhere between 50 to 55 communities. So, and they're somewhat limited by what they can do. I mean, how many communities they can have. Number one, you have to apply to become a Main Street community. You just don't call up the government and say, hi, we want to do this. So there's an application process that entails. Manning first submitted the application in 2008, but for a variety of reasons, I don't know what they were because I wasn't living here then, to become a Main Street Iowa community, they wanted them to go, Main Street Iowa wanted Manning kind of go back to the drawing board, fix some of the questions and deficiencies that they had, which they did, resubmitted the application in 2009, and have been a Main Street community ever since. So this year we're celebrating our 15th anniversary of the Main Street Iowa community. So I'm the only paid director, or the only paid employee, excuse me, of Main Street Manning. I'm paid basically 25 hours a week. As you can imagine, that probably takes more time than 25 hours a week to kind of orchestrate all of this. But it's intended to be a volunteer-driven, community-driven organization. So what I've included for you here on the bottom, this back half, is who our board members are at the moment, and then how each of those committees that I mentioned earlier, who chairs them and who's on them. So just a variety of community members that have expressed interest or willingness to be participants in that process. So we have a 10-member board. They are on a rotating 3-year cycle, and they can, at the end of the 3 years, they can opt to say, yeah, I'd like to stay on, and they may or may not be reelected to stay on. But at the end of, they have 2 consecutive 3-year cycles, then they do need to cycle off for a while. And then bring someone else on board. So we'd like to have a variety of representatives, whether it be someone with accounting background, a business owner, a building owner, those sorts of different skills that they can bring to the table. So from statistics, you guys, the next piece you have is this. All right, so every Main Street community has what they call a Main Street district. So for Manning, this is the north, south, and east and west, of course. So when the program was established, the organization had to figure out, well, what do we want our district, what's going to be our boundaries? And there were different criteria that needed to be included in that. And so at the time, they looked at a variety of different things. So basically, what is the main business district, original business district of the community, and what historical features are within that district? So that's kind of how they decided the boundaries. So down here at the bottom, when you're looking at in the bottom left-hand corner, that was what was Manning's original old American Legion building. So that building was included as part of the district. Then it goes across to your right, capturing the city generator office and some of the mechanical structures of what makes Manning run as far as electricity and all that kind of stuff. Then as you go up on the right-hand side going north, it captures the rec center, which sits on the corner of Highway 141 and Center Street. The rec center, for those of you that may not be aware of that, that was the original high school or one of the original high school, early, maybe not the original, but was the high school before the current location. And in the 1970s, they closed up shop on the weekend. Everybody locked the doors, went home for the weekend, came back on Monday morning, and there had a big crack in a supporting wall. So at that time, they had to kind of farm all the students out to various places across the town to have school because the building was deemed to be unsafe. And so in the 70s, then when that all happened, there were those in the community who had the forethought to keep the gymnasium. The gymnasium was structurally okay, and that then eventually became our rec center and has built from there. All right, so then continuing to go north, up to the right, and you've got this one spot here that blocks itself. That's where our historical water tower is. Comes back, and that's on historical registry place. Then it comes back and then stretches down with a little arrow at the top, capturing what now is the Manning Library and the daycare center. You've got the angle that comes back this way on Front Street. This kind of industrial area over here. And then this captures the west side of Elm Street, that alley going behind there, and captures then the city park. And then we're kind of back to where we start. So basically, it's not a simple square. It's kind of an odd shaped thing, but it's pretty much one block either side of what we really do call Main Street, pretty much. It puts some odds and ends in there. So with being a member of Main Street, the Main Street program, our businesses that lie in that geographical area in these boundaries have the opportunity and are eligible for applying for various grants and programs that come out of Main Street, Iowa. And so that is our focus of that Main Street district. Doesn't mean we can't be a resource to those businesses outside of that district, but our focus is in that district. And the businesses that lie in there, like I said, do have access to apply for different opportunities through the state. Okay.
For that area, tip area, so we're not.
No, we don't, quite honestly, I don't understand the tip very well, but we don't have it from what I understand, so, yeah. Okay, so one of the things that falls in my responsibility is, and all this information is going to be the same for us, whether it's us or it's Coon Rapids. Carroll County's got 2 Main Street Iowa communities, Coon Rapids being the second one. So in the blue is they ask the executive directors of each program to submit a quarterly report. It used to be monthly, now they switched to quarterly. So I wanted you guys to kind of get an idea of what kind of information is gathered, which then works this way up through the reporting documents. So each of the programs in the state collect this stuff on a quarterly basis. We submit it to Main Street, Iowa in Des Moines. They move it up the ladder to the governor's office and the legislature for funding and that sort of stuff. And then cumulative, all the states across the country submit that on to Main Street America. So that when we have information, we can kind of get an idea of what our community impact is. So looking at investments, basically, how are we as a community investing in our Main Street district? Do we get grants? If so, how much? How much has any individual business owner or building owner invested in their own building or their business? As far as repairs and all of that sort of stuff. So looking at private dollars invested in existing building projects or or existing buildings, new construction, there's any of that. We also track buildings that were sold in the Main Street district. And business changes. Did we have new businesses come in? Did we have businesses go out? And then as part of that, it's, well, how many people do they employ? How many full-time? How many part-time? So we can kind of judge over time, are we gaining employees in the district or are we losing employees in the district? Okay. So then if something, it's business status on the top of the next page, it's a new business. Did a business close? Has a business expanded either size-wise or employee-wise or got smaller? Or has it still stayed in Manning, but relocated outside of the district boundaries? We also track housing. Is there new housing development going on in the Main Street district? I don't know the last time Manning had that, quite honestly, that I can remember, because our Main Street is basically, our Main Street district is full, we have a place to put in that. Then the other piece that goes in this, let me guess on that page, and the other piece that's in there would also be when we sell a building, there's something in the Main Street district sells. So if you own a building and I buy it, then that purchase price gets reported. So we use the county records to figure out what that sale price was and those sorts of things. We do have some private homes within our district. So again, if I own if I house on the corner of First and Main or whatever, I sell it to you, then that would be something that I would need to capture. And so it requires that I kind of pay attention to what's going on in the district. Looking for sale signs, looking for sold signs, looking for things that look to be of construction. So the things I would need to report from a construction standpoint or a renovation is if you turn that building upside down and it didn't fall off the building, that's the kind of stuff that gets reported. So I don't care if you got new tables and chairs, thank you very much, but did you put in new flooring? That would be one. Did you put in new windows? That would be reported. Those kinds of things. And then we have to report Main Street events and activities. So we as Main Street have a number of different events and activities that we do throughout the year. So for example, just kind of starting at the beginning of the year and just kind of naming some of these off at the top of my head. The community Easter egg hunt comes from the promotions committee idea, hold the event in the district, bring people to downtown, provides opportunity for people to get more feet on the street, if you will. And we'll get donations, as best we can from individuals or businesses that to help support that with buying the candy for the eggs or whatever the case happens to be. So that one is primarily not necessarily a fundraiser as much as an event. The other one that's coming up here shortly is Kinderfest, which many of you have been around for a while. That back in the day was called Children's Day. It's thought to be one of the oldest community festivals in the state. Started in the 18-somethings, and it's activity geared towards children. So for many years, the Kinderfest organization, the Kinderfest Planning Committee, For 1 year, like you guys might have been on the planning committee, we're tired of doing this, and then maybe another community group picked it up, and then another community group picked it up. So about, I don't know, 4 years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. Many of the people that were on the Kinderfest planning committee were also on the Main Street Design Committee, or excuse me, Main Street Promotions Committee. So at that time, it was decided to bring that with under our umbrella. So that's a community event that's very well supported. We have a golf tournament coming up from the organization committee. That's going to help us raise funds for the organization, because we're a nonprofit. We don't receive state funding. We do receive a donation from the city on a typical yearly basis of about $9,000. Otherwise, it falls to the responsibility primarily of the organization committee to raise the remainder of the funds. Let's see. In the day after Thanksgiving on that Friday, if you guys, any of you have ever been to down to Manning for Knock Fest, that also comes out of the Main Street Manning Promotions Committee. So that's another opportunity to bring people back into downtown. We do have an annual pledge drive that we do, investment drive, again, to raise funds for the organization. And then we're looking at volunteer hours invested in Main Street. So like I said, I'm the only paid employee, and everything else gets done by volunteers, or me working over 25 a week, whichever it happens to be. And so all of this information gets collected and sent to Des Moines. And then we have the opportunity to provide some narrative information, just to tell about different events and things that's going on with each of those committees, as sharing that information with the state. So what happened to all the numbers? So on the pink page here this comes from Iowa Economic Development. And this information is specific to Manning. So on the very first page, if you go way to the top for base numbers, we currently submit our monthly or our quarterly reports through a program called Iowa Grants. I'm not sure what they used prior to that. But when they switched to Iowa Grants, they pulled the information forward, and you can see on the first page that this was something that got submitted on a monthly basis. They keep track of whether we get it in on time or not. And then the various categories across the top, which in dark green is kind of hard to read. But looking at business starts, net loss or gain of jobs, what sort of building projects, how many buildings sold, and then kind of trying to track as best you can the private investments in downtown in dollars. Public investment for grants or contributions from the city or whatever it happened to be, and then volunteer hours. So you'll notice one of the things that Main Street programs in general tend to have a struggle with is keeping people long-term in their executive director positions. That happens for a variety of reasons. But when I've looked at this and I go back and I can correlate, during this period of time, we didn't have anybody employed as executive director. So that meant that the board president or somebody had to, gather that data. Well, they're also taking care of their families and working full-time or part-time. So it was very, it's not hard to understand from that. If you look in that third column from the left, under private investments in downtown, you'll see that there's a number of months there that are 0. That doesn't mean there wasn't anything going on. That just means there wasn't anything reported. Because the statistics that get submitted are only as accurate as the time you take to find the stuff or the information. And then the volunteer hours in the far right-hand column, basically send out an email every 2 weeks saying how many hours have you volunteered towards Main Street related events over the course of the last 2 weeks. And if, if you guys get my email and none of you respond, that doesn't mean you necessarily didn't do anything. It just means you didn't get it reported. So if we go to the second page of this. Let's see. So now the first quarter of 2022 is when it first went to the quarterly system. And I've been employed since June of 18. So numbers are a little bit more complete in there. And we've had a lot going on. So in that. If you get clear, so in the net new jobs, now go down to that one on the very bottom where it says cumulative total for Manning and you'll see a minus 99. So part of what happened when Manning Regional Healthcare Center made the decision to build their new hospital outside of the Main Street District, they're like one of our top employers in the city. So it didn't close, it just relocated outside of the district. So that meant all the jobs that were associated with the hospital left. And so that's why that number is what it is. There's a lot that went there. Okay, so total, we've had in the last 15 years, 123 different building projects. We've had 43 buildings in the district sell. Our private investment in downtown is $9,586,020. And that is only again what is reported. So and there's a number of months, like I said, when we didn't have a director, that the chance that amount is much greater than that is definitely there. So when we reach different milestones within the organization, every year Main Street, Iowa holds an award. So I brought an example of that to show you when we got our $5 million investment in Main Street in 2022, whichever way you want to do that. So we're already at 9 million just in the last couple of years. So I would expect they have the award ceremony. We had it in May. It'll come around again next May. So if we are able to accumulate more investments in downtown between now and December 31st, chances are we'll have our $10 million award. If not next year, probably then the year after. Okay. They also, in the Main Street program, they have various different awards that programs can apply for. There's a variety of competitive awards, and then there is one non-competitive award. So I brought an example of our most recent competitive award. This one, it was for the ice cream shop that opened a couple of years ago. And there's, I don't know, probably 5 different categories that you can apply for in that competitive award. The awards nominations go to Des Moines. They get evaluated by the independent panel down there. And then the winner is announced at that award ceremony in Des Moines. So they were up, basically every community in the state can submit however many applications they want for those different awards. So you never know, you might be up against one other person. You might be up against 15. So there's that. And then each year, the program gets to nominate someone for their leadership / volunteer of the year award. That person who has kind of made a good significant contribution to the Main Street program. That's when it's a non-competitive award. This depends who the board feels is appropriate to receive that. They don't have to be a member of the Main Street board or the Main Street committees. It could be a community volunteer, it could be a community business that really supports our efforts. Okay, so public investment in downtown, 2.8 million, and then the volunteer hours, 42,501. So again, those are all the conservative numbers, and that is the cumulative report for the last 15 years of our existence. Okay. The kind of off-white one, we get this also at the end of the fiscal year, which was June 30th, or no, it's June 30th of last year. So this is a little bit old, but this is the most current one I have. So at the time that this was printed about a year ago, those were the Main Street communities in the state. And I've got the red arrow next to Manning. You'll see that the communities are listed in numerical, well, I should say age order from the time that they were initially designated as a Main Street community, from oldest at the top to the newer ones at the bottom. And it gives us what our population is on the most recent census. And summing it up, those numbers go across. So 18 business starts, net loss of 81 jobs. Again, that includes the hospital, with lost a chunk, but then we've also gained some employees in other areas as well. Building projects, number of buildings sold. Private investment in downtown total. Let's see, the numbers aren't gonna line exactly up with the pink one, because this is a little bit older data. Public investment in downtown and the volunteer hours. So then we can kind of compare ourselves to our peers. We have large communities, such as Dubuque, and we have a smaller community. I think the smallest one is Lansing, they're up in the northeast corner of the state. So we can kind of compare size-wise, how we compare with our peers. So let's see, Coon Rapids. Coon Rapids is the 1, 2, 3, 4th up from the bottom. They started in 2019. And they've been going like gangbusters over there. Kind of want to just look and see how. Which I don't know if Katie has come to meet with you guys, but yeah, okay, so that's why that thing. Okay, and then this one is our most recent annual report. So we kind of pulled together the data. We've had 6 new districts, 6 new businesses in the district, and we have those listed there. We did lose our nursing home early in the year, or late in the year, I should say. So we have about 50 active Main Street volunteers, which consists primarily of the board and the committees. But then also there are other, those are the active ones that we do draw in other people to help as we need to with our events. So the volunteer hours reported in 2023, 1789. And if you use the data available, what website it is, we now put that out, we're just sized $57,000 in value of that volunteer time. So this kind of gives you an idea of where do we get our income and how do we, where does all of our money go? So, you know, operating expenses, of course, is a huge piece, salary, rent, office supplies, those sorts of things. But we do try to diversify our income as best as we can with different fundraising activities, and that could include not only our pledge drive, but things like the golf tournament and those kind of things as well. But we don't receive any funding from the state of Iowa, and we don't receive any funding from Main Street America. It's all kind of homegrown dollars. Any questions on, or what questions?
So there's 55 city.
About 55. Main Street Iowa has determined over time that their staffing down there allows them to best serve somewhere between that number. And sometimes communities, they usually bring on new communities if they feel they met the criteria every couple of years.
So are other cities in Carroll County, if they applied and then denied?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I know that, you know, Coon Rapids is in, we're in. I don't know that anybody else has applied. Not that I've ever heard. But that would not be something that we would necessarily know either, because that kind of takes place at the state level. I've never gotten a list of these who applied and these who got.
Seems that 2 of them out of 55 have to be in our county.
Yeah,
Which is good.
yeah, and communities do come and go. Like I say, they bring a new batch on every couple of years. But some communities also will decide, you know, this doesn't fit for us anymore. So, for example, Lamar's used to be a Main Street community. They decided to step away a few years ago. Sac City was a Main Street community. They decided to step away just fairly recently, and it's for a variety of reasons why the communities decide to do that. But geographically, who's the closest to Carroll County? Besides Manning and Coon Rapids, Avoca is a Main Street community. Guthrie Center is a Main Street community. Let's see who else. Oh, yeah, Avoca, Coon Rapids, Greenfield. Oh, yeah, Greenfield is too. Now they got hit with this tornado, we're still at that. But anyway, so we're kind of on, if I was trying to find the map today that kind of show you where they lie. But basically any place northwest of here, there isn't any. I don't know why that is. Like I said, Lamar's used to be, but they dropped out. And then stuff on the right hand side, sharing as an FYI, you know, Manning is home to Cobblestone Inns and Suites. And so as that, we have the opportunity for hotel motel tax. And so fast forward through some growing pains of figuring out how to best use and figure out how we spend our money from the hotel motel tax. A couple years ago, we put together a hotel motel tax task force. And that task force represents, Don Meyer as city administrator, me for Main Street Manning, the chamber representative, the representative who's the director of the, recreation department, Shelley Grieving, Emerge Marketing, and the manager at the hotel. So one of the projects that came out of this fairly recently is what we're calling the Manning Minute. So I'm including this as a copy for you. This comes out every couple months. This is hot off the press as of last week. So this is the June, July issue. And what we do, our goal of our task force is to come up with events or ideas for events. We don't do them ourselves, but the idea of what can we do to bring people to Manning? Whether they come to the Main Street District or not, we just want to get them to town with the idea we're going to generate some more overnight stays. And so the last issue, we did an enter to win for Mother's Day. Had some giveaways from the various businesses or whatever. That was very successful. Doing the same thing for Father's Day. So there'll probably be other things that maybe for Christmas and Thanksgiving and things that like that will come down the pike as well. So if you scan the QR code, you can enter and you can maybe be our winner for Father's Day stuff. And it is open to women too. You don't have to be a man to enter. So then we've listed our upcoming events for the next couple months. And some other sort of things of what else is going on in town that you can do. Our next event coming up is actually next week, Sunday. We have a parade of cars coming. So it's not a car show. It will be bring your lawn chair, situate yourself on Main Street, and then we've organized, I shouldn't say we, it's actually put together by our Rotary program, and they have an estimated 100 cars coming, which they will be the parade going down the street, starting with Model A's and Model T's up until Corvettes. Brad Morgan, of course, is our hometown rising star, so that includes information there. And then some information about our Kinderfest coming up towards the end of the month. So Emerge Marketing puts this together for us. And we distribute that on our Facebook page throughout the community, our various Facebook pages, and then through our businesses and whoever else happens to be on our mailing list. Also, a project that came out of the hotel motel tax is this document. This is one of a variety of things that we did. What it's made as a trifold. And so each of these is representative of day trips, heritage, dining, shopping, art, things that you could do in Manning while you're there or visit. And so have this project now for probably, 4 years, I would guess, something like that. It's kind of evolved over time. I will tell you that in the last 10 days, 2 weeks, we've had 2 different groups of visitors come to Manning. One was a group from Western Iowa Tech in Sioux City with their adult education program. And they brought a busload of 50 people to Manning. And that also included visits to Templeton, because they went to Templeton while they were here. But they came to Manning, they had a tour of our housebound Heritage Park. They ate at Cliffs, which this year has our best tenderloin in the state. And so they were here for a good chunk of the afternoon. I had the opportunity to get on the bus with them and kind of talk about the community a little bit and share this information with each of the members that were there. And that visit actually came out of a trip to the state fair last year because I was charging my cell phone. And talking with the lady standing next to me who was also charging her cell phone, and we got to talking. And so, well, who are you and what do you do and all this? And so when she said she was the director of the adult learning program at Western Iowa Tech, I was like, well, have I got a deal for you? And so that conversation morphed into this group of 50 coming 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago. This last Friday, we had a group of, I think, around 30 to 35 that came to Manning for the day. Same thing again, they went to Templeton to do a tour of the distillery, had lunch at Cliffs, went out to the house barn, and that was a group from Drake. So that group came out in their individual cars, but I met with them over lunch and could give them the promotional materials as well. So our efforts are, trying to get people to town to support us. That's. All right, so then this one, this is just something I pulled together myself because this is kind of a cool thing we have too. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were able to get the Charters of Freedom. This comes out of North Carolina with a family out there that decided after they had to travel to Washington DC to see the Charters of Freedom at our nation's capital, that they should take this to the people. And they had the financial resources to do this. So Manning is currently home of Iowa's only Charters of Freedom, which is the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. This shows the display, and it's next to our Freedom Rock in Maine. So that's where that's at. So we're kind of proud of that, having the only one in Iowa, and I think the second west of the Mississippi, right? And then this is we as a community, and I would guess that Carroll is too, but I assume so. Western Iowa Tourism Guide. So this is something that gets put together on an annual basis. The counties that are covered in this are shaded in white. So our information is, I think there's some, I don't really have a chance to look at this yet, but basically this will tell you anything that's going on in the western part of the state. And we got the middle spread. Yeah, nice. And so they're free. They published out the Harlan newspapers. And so as we need them, we just go down and pick up extra. And I have to tell you, they have put these ad lists in Manning. The Tenderloin, they've been really busy and they've been flying out. So we hope that this will again generate some additional.
Mine's got the product.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe I'm not, well. I'm sorry.
You are.
I'm if you are. 22 and 23, I'm sorry. So you can tell we've kind of designed our, we're designed with that and our saying.
Mine was like a 4-2. Both went through.
I'm sorry.
I was on.
Oh, I see.
It was great.
Yeah, anyway, there you go. Yeah, just see if you were paying attention. Just see if you were paying attention. So anyway, so that's how we're trying to use our hotel motel tax dollars to generate more overnight stays and people coming to town. Between the last couple of years, I've gone to, and other representatives from Manning have gone both to Pike County Fair and Spencer to, promote the community with some of this marketing material. Last couple of years, myself and the director of the House Barn Heritage Park has gone to the Iowa Tourism Marketplace, which is basically designed for people who organize bus trips around to different places. And that has generated, we have, I know, one bus trip coming up later this summer that came as a result of that as well. So.
Yeah,
That's why.
I know I'm happy for, we love giving these presentations of this experience. I want to thank Carroll County. I want to thank you for your passion. And I know you gave $25 with their framework and things like this. It's phenomenal to have such great communities in Carroll County. We're very blessed.
We got, both of these last groups, I think just for the last couple of weeks, they're like, oh, they did Manning, and they're like, you got all this?
14,000 people.
Yeah,
And
15.
it's great because that's how you get people to want to move back.
Exactly.
You show initiative, you show a community, you see great things going on. It makes people want to move here.
Yeah.
I just had to touch that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a Manning native. I graduated in 1978, and then I moved to Omaha to go to nursing school and lived in Omaha for 18 years. And then I took a teaching position at a community college in Northwest Wyoming. By Yellowstone National Park. So if anybody ever needs to go to Yellowstone, you've never been there, I can help plan a trip. Just saying. And then from there, I moved to Oregon and taught at a community college out there for about 5 years and moved back in 2007. My mom was having more health issues at that time. And then at that point, I was the director of the nursing program DMAP here in Carroll. So I took early retirement in 2018 for that. And then 2018, and then took this position a year later. So that's my nursing background. So I'm not a business person. I'm not a economic person or whatever. So.
Well, we appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I was actually in Manning for a meeting Saturday. It was very quaint downtown and we went to Cliffs.
Good.
I had the salad, but there were a couple ladies that got the tenderloin
Uh-huh.
because they said it was the best.
Yes.
So, they did say that it was very good, so.
Okay. Well, and you guys had probably, Carroll newspaper has the, best of on an annual basis, so. I brought this was just, the things that Manning got in 2023. So I was this was actually in the newspaper, but it was in black and white, so I was able to go to the Carroll paper and say, hey, can you print this for me in color and just have this framed? So we've got this on display, probably 3 or 4 different places in town. We kind of honestly just toot our own horn a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like yours.
Mhm. So we were very, very fortunate last year in being voted for those different items, so.
Well, you guys are looking at, we're gonna go ahead, excuse me, and move to item number 2 on the agenda. And to approve a plat for Jim Schneider. Do we have any questions on this plat? In order for a motion.
Second, that.
There's a motion and a second, any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, discuss the state of Iowa lease agreement for a public defender, should we give an email or reply back for it?
Well, once I told them that you only want to do an annual, I got this, but I got to looking at it and 2.1 talks about the square footage and where it's at, and we're not gonna have it where it's at, so. I didn't know if you guys wanted me or Zach to figure out what the square footage is and have them update. Cause obviously we're not gonna have them in the space that they were in before, because it doesn't really exist even, because it's been changed.
The square footage would be in that lower level, whatever, four offices, right?
So I wanted to know which,
I think back to the right was what you and I had talked about.
And I definitely would, before we approve this, I want all the changes to be.
that's why I have it on here to discuss it, because I wasn't sure which office you guys wanted to have on here, and
I think once we get
All right.
that perfect repeat done, that's kind of gonna be those 4 offices downstairs. Yeah.
I was thinking down where we went through the walkthrough. Yeah.
so which one of the
The back right, it would be the southwest corner,
one that they used to use for storage,
southwest.
the one they used to use for storage,
That's one with the refrigerator.
that's
think
southeast,
Judge Beatty was in there for a while.
yeah, that's southwest.
That's what So we want southwest.
Next time you're there, we'll go down and we'll just make sure, okay? And then we can maybe figure out what the square footage is, and then I can email them back, and then you guys can.
Thanks for
I'm gonna sit here and argue about what
I
direction.
know,
I
but
have
when
no
you walk
idea.
in, it's off to the right.
Correct.
Okay. Table. Item number 4. The new management annual updates. You've got Connor North, section 20, Jasper Township, added acres, Connor South, section 20, Jasper Township, no changes. Ryan Shell, section 6, East Township, no changes. 749 Woodland Creek Farms, section 11, Pleasant Valley Township, no changes. 740-940 94 Woodland Creek Farms, section 4, Union Township, no changes. We are gonna run through the committee reports before we go into that presentation, so. if anybody wants to refer to-
There you go. All right.
Go ahead.
Last week I didn't have much. I went to the courthouse and we planned a meeting for Tuesday, June 18th at 6 o'clock for Maple River to talk about their sewer financial problems, and sure there's gonna be road discussion there at the what's that community center, or that little shelter house, okay?
Is that 6?
6 o'clock. It'll be June 18th, 6 o'clock.
And Gene's in the town.
Yes, me and Gene will be there for sure, and hopefully Courtney.
Yep, and we posted the agenda, so it's gonna not be an official board meeting, but it will be an open meeting, so I mean, if you guys don't wanna be there, that's fine, I'll be there doing the minutes and stuff, so.
The chair.
Yeah. And then I did talk to R&R about that, and I need to call, what's the name from Maple River yet? No, who does our sewer there?
Jared.
Jared. That's all I have. I have nothing upcoming this week.
And the last week, Tuesday, after our meeting, I was too late to go to the courthouse for the final punch list. Tony said there was no issues with it. I think that might be the last time John Lacy was in town for it. Wednesday, I met with Sarah about some zoning issues and our 10-year comprehensive plan. She scheduled a meeting for next Wednesday night one more time. Then I met with the sheriff about the same zoning inquiries. Friday was a Hub 712 chamber coffee. Then I went with that, went to some bridges and gravel roads in the southeast part of the county and the condition of 210th Street or 310th Street east of Dedham. And then this week, today, I have at noon CCGP access Washington trip. And then Wednesday from 3 to 6 is Hub 12. Or Hub 712
I don't have a lot. I've wrapped up most of my committees, I believe. I just want to encourage everyone to please go vote. And, do we know when the economic development folks are planning on coming back to give us an update? Because what did we decide? Every other month, quarterly? So they were here March 4th and today is 4 months. So when you go to that meeting, that's cool.
The countertops, I think, are getting installed. Stones did assemble the chairs.
Did they get rid of the count in the front?
No, and didn't we order 20 or 30 of the black chairs also? So they ordered these.
20.
Yeah, I haven't seen those yet. So somebody might want.
Ordering looks awesome.
Uh,
Looks good.
Yes.
Looks really good.
You'll look better after she's anything.
Yes.
Put in.
Okay. You did?
Yes.
Okay, so last week did a couple walkthroughs on the courthouse. I want to commend meetings, because even just on small things that weren't on the initial scope of work, you did fix or cover up the paint on the seals on the. For the Republican meeting this morning, I did meet with kind of some constituents in reference to this 2-mile zoning, which they'll be here to present in 10 minutes. I did want to let the board know, I talked to Renee in reference to the handbook and our idea of doing a yearly discussion with the firm. That's not elected officials unless the official would like to. She said, do that more just as a reminder every year to do that. Don't put it actually in the policy handbook. So that was her recommendation, so I actually put it. So appreciated her feedback. For the public to know, we will be moving to the courthouse this week. Like Scott said, the tabletops for our desks will be done hopefully today. And then 1433 ambulance was deemed a total loss. We will be having $90,000 going into capital funds in the ambulance area for their future purchase of that. And I did talk to Mike about putting him on DCAC PPC board for this next 1 or 2 until the reporter, auditor, and treasurer figure out what cities.
Anything you got on that?
That's
Scheduled this week.
then I do have the newspaper radio for.
Thank you.
No, I had asked them if we could wait until after the election, because I'm busy with that right now.
Okay. But everybody, Courtney, if you want to go over kind of what you have for next week.
Well, obviously be canvassing the election. Yeah, bill day and then the election canvas are the 2 things that I have.
6 minutes. You can go to recess.
Honestly, they want to get started early because that's one. Right, we need to wait. So, Well, but
How many people are out there?
They're not all there. You're that big of an area.
the only problem is our recording is not in the.
I have to trust the media.
Like 20 or more.
Well, we're trying to debate. We can go into that other room, which is fine, but we wouldn't have the options. Cause our recording.
Or we can slide these chairs together and stand.
I'll stand. It's your age. How are you?
Nice to meet you. How are you?
How you doing?
So I'm the chair of that, but you don't.
I'm not gonna be the chair. Promise you that.
They really just sometimes have a hard time making quorum. So,
Yeah.
and you can do the meetings.
What's that?
You can do the meetings on Zoom. You can't make.
Tight.
Where are they at?
Those tight spaces.
Building.
Oh, it's right here. Okay.
No, that's probably there. That's why I know this.
But like literally no one ever really shows up in person. Yeah, thank you.
Crowd, how you doing? Good.
That's at all.
Gonna get like really
Crowded.
I can't hear you.
Think we should have done in the other room.
No, I.
Right.
I'm fine here, I'm fine. I'll have Gerald will be able.
Sarah and Kurt.
I know.
Hey, Sarah, you and Kurt can sit up here. Hey, yeah, go there either. No, I'll stay. No, I'm fine. No, you're fine. Go ahead. There's a good camp, but she won't have like, here it is. This one, no. I'm good.
Yeah, sure.
Or Jerry.
All right.
Here. Sit by you.
Okay, real quick before we get started at 10 o'clock, guys, there is a reason why we're staying in this room. And it's not, I wish we could move to the other rooms and have availability in there, but with the recording and the TV, this keeps it live. And we do have a supervisor that couldn't attend today, since home personal reasons, so we wanted to keep it live streamed, and I think this is the best for the constituents to be able to see this live stream. So I apologize for the lack of space, but that is why, otherwise we do have that other picture, but we do want to keep this open to the public. What I will say is at 10 o'clock, when whoever's presenting, please announce your name. And I don't know how many presenters you have, but if you guys want us to do introductions for the supervisors, I think. Show of heads, is everybody pretty familiar with who's sitting at this table?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can do a quick introduction, Stephanie Houseman, supervisor.
Scott Johnson, supervisor.
Cindy Scannerico, supervisor.
New hire auditor.
Mike Anderson, supervisor. Kurt Steger, assistant county attorney.
Sarah Hadrell, zoning administrator. So yeah, so whoever's presenting, so Marty, if you're gonna present first, just say your name and then we can start.
With that, I'm Marty Danzer. We're gonna talk a little bit about 2 mile radius within the city of Carroll. And this was kind of started in 1995 when this all got started. And over the years, it's been kind of abused by the city of what is actually an ag exemption. So our objective is to retract any radius restriction in 2080 agreement that the city of Carroll has, and revert back to the original 328 agreement, which would turn back to the Carroll County Planning and Zoning. And the wording that's on this, Caleb Whiting is in the back over there, he's the Iowa Trust Fund with the city. With the Iowa Trust Fund for the state of Iowa,
he kind of helped us put the wording together and help us put this together, so.
Lisa Danzer, just concerned citizen and registered voter. And I just want to make note in regards to, according to ITR, Caleb, there are minimal counties in the state of Iowa that even have this 2 mile radius. We're not asking that it go away. We are asking that the supervisors, the county, take it back over from the city. There are numerous examples in regards to things that have gone on in the past, and one example would be the person goes, they want to put up a barn. The city tells them they gotta get the county signature. The county signature goes, it says the city, you're in the 2 mile radius, you have to get the city's approval in regards to this. So, you know, there's a lot of concern in regards to people's time and energy in regards to going and doing these things, and we just ask for the change and it go back to the county the way that it was. We're not asking for it to go away unless you guys want to make it go away. We're just asking the county to take it back. Thanks.
Oh. My name is Gary Geister. I live north of Carroll, northeast of Carroll. A few things, when did the county actually make make the decision to go with the city's council's view on this 2 mile area? When was that?
1995.
1995, but when did they actually start doing these inspections? Because,
Been 7, 8 years ago, roughly.
okay. Why weren't the people in the 2 mile area notified? I mean, this is a pretty important
Can I
thing.
explain what the inspection?
Pardon?
Can you explain what you're referring to on the inspection part?
Well, in the past, before that, wasn't it just septic tanks? Hog confinements, cattle confinements? Basically, that was about it.
Our environmental services lady?
Yeah.
Terry?
Yeah, that was it for any inspection in the whole county. Not even talking about the 2 mile area, right?
She doesn't do building inspections. The county itself does not have a person that does
Right,
building inspections.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
Okay,
So, the way we look at it from the ones I've talked to here, and there's a lot of them that aren't here. We had a petition, and I don't know what happened, who's got that?
All the supervisors have a copy. of
Okay,
it.
great.
Over 100 signatures. 100 signatures.
Great, and I've talked to. I don't know, 70 to 80% of them people, and they never got a notice, didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. But there was nothing in I suppose you put a little article in the paper or somewhere, but don't you think that's pretty important that we should have been notified before an extra tax was levied against us? It's a tax. When I go to get a building permit, they charge me. That's a tax. And with everything, it's expensive, the labor, the material today. You can all vouch for that. And then and now we've got an extra tax every time we pound a nail. I just don't think it's fair. My concern is we weren't notified. So we could have nipped this in the bud. Now we've got all these people upset. I've drove around to just about every piece of property in this 2 mile area. And everything is tidy, it's neat, the trees are trimmed, everything's mowed. What do we need an inspector for? The windows are straight, the doors are straight. I mean, we've got contractors that I think do a pretty decent job. So it just doesn't make sense that we even have this discussion today. And I think everybody, most here would vouch for that. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to make one other comment. In going around, and being in the 2 mile area, we can't vote for city council. And if they want to tell us what we're gonna do, would want some representation that we can vote within the 2 mile limit for city council then. And that's a state issue if we address that issue.
And it should be an equal representation.
Basic answer, another issue in regards to that is that if you're in the 2 mile radius, you're following the procedures of the city council. However, one, yes, you're not able to vote, and the two is you're not able to join the rec center as a 51401 zip code, which makes no sense at all. They go off of, if you have a 5-digit number for the front of your house and you are not part of it. What happened to 51401 being your area? Thanks. Is there anybody else that wanted to make comment? If not, we ask for your vote.
I will say, this morning I did make a comment, we had a meeting. A Republican meeting at 7, and I did mention it to Carroll, and he's sending out an email to legislators. Because this is another thing that does. In other choice of words, that I'm not going to say right now, but.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? We can't hear it over there.
Craig Williams, this morning we had a meeting at 7 and I did make him aware of this situation. And he was in agreement that he is sending a letter to all the other legislators that something needs to be changed about this. So
Thank you.
that is happening this morning. Yeah, that did go out.
Pardon, who?
Craig Williams,
Who's he? Craig Williams? I mean, what does he, I know who he is, but what does he represent?
he's running for state representative.
Oh,
So Brian
I didn't
Best,
know that.
yeah, Brian Best was in that position and he's going to
Okay.
potentially take
I
that
didn't
position
know
over.
that. I.
So he did send that to the legislators. this
Go to
morning.
the courthouse and vote and you'll see it on there.
But why can't we govern ourselves here?
Why
Well,
can't,
that's a state.
Why can't we govern ourselves
That's a
and
state
just and take care of this? I mean, we're the county, we're not the city.
Yeah, you're on a different topic. If you want to just move forward.
The 2 mile area, they can change, but they can't, as far as voting, they can't change, that's a state.
For us to vote for city council, that is a
Well,
state
sure,
issue.
still, you know, why are we supporting the city and paying part of the second city inspector's benefit, wages and benefits?
We do have some people from the city here. You want to speak here, introduce yourself and speak, or?
I guess. First off, if you live in a 2 mile territory, in a 2 mile zone, there are no property taxes whatsoever that comes to the city. So
No, but the inspection fees do.
for. If it's an ag exempt building. What is our permit? Is there a permit fee for an ag exempt building? Okay, so for an ag exempt building, there is no fee for a building permit. Now, if you're going to do a residential house, there is a fee for that, that's up for that, and that's based off the value.
Sure,
But
no, that's right.
the ag exempt building, you can build it however you want, whenever you want.
Well, then why didn't the barn that she mentioned get built?
I can't answer that, I'm not aware of.
That's the turmoil out here.
So then bring us the opportunity to deal with it rather than just go out and talk to somebody and say, there's a problem. We'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah, talked
Well-
to Ernie Johnson on several occasions, and he's fucking the system, and it's getting worse.
So we have talked
And
to
as
you.
a city manager, if you're having issues, you can certainly bring them to me and I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Well, I don't think it should have to go that far. We should be able to govern ourselves up here. Shouldn't have anything to do with the city. We shouldn't have to come to you.
Well, there's reasons why you have zoning, there's reasons why you have building code.
Yeah, in a troubled area, but we don't have a troubled area here.
Well, we've had buildings that were built and then how long ago after they were built, got blown away or blown down or something.
Well, that's a moot point.
Safety of the buildings, moot point. I.
If a tornado takes it down, that has nothing to do with the infection.
That's a civil case and.
Yeah.
Contract with them, that's
Move it forward,
not part of us.
move it forward.
So,
I just want to get rid of all the destruction. Everybody is upset over this. You want to individually talk with these people privately, you'll find that out. I have. That's why we brought it to you.
I appreciate you guys bringing things like this
We
forward.
don't need that out here in our county. The Carroll County is perfect, it's great, but we don't need this kind of turmoil. We shouldn't have to go to the city to do anything. But I understand, you can't put a sewer system in, you can't put, I don't want a hog confinement next to me, none of us do. So this is where you people take over. We understand that, and we've agreed to that since day one. Then you all changed this.
Can I, John Hackford? Why does the city have to tell the county what to do? Aren't you the county guys to set the rules for the county? Why does the city, not pointing at you, buddy, but why does the city have to set rules in the county? Aren't you our supervisors to set the rules? Why does the city have to tell?
The only thing the city controls out in the county, the only thing they control is the zoning within that 2 miles.
Who sets the zoning? Who sets it at 2 miles? Who sets it at 2 miles? Who set it? The city?
Yes, the county.
That would have been from back in 1985.
Okay, so the county set
The
it.
county entered an agreement with the city to govern.
28E.
So the county, you're
It's
saying the county.
building
set it?
only, the snow
Why
ordinance
can't I-
doesn't apply to you, the vicious dogs doesn't apply to you, nothing else
Okay,
applies.
but if the county was in on setting it, why don't the county get in on taking
We
it away?
appoint, okay, we appoint 2 people to the zoning commission.
Okay.
With Ron Jurgens, I believe, and Jane Pete.
Which
Sit on
Pete?
that board, yeah.
Which Pete, I'm sorry.
Jane Pedic, I believe.
Okay, that's fine. I think you're right on that.
Well, so in the state of Iowa, how many counties did you say actually, or cities have this 2 mile area?
Okay, what, can you answer that?
I believe there's 4 or 5 that have them.
4 or 5 in the whole, and from the cities I've heard of, they're 10, 15 times bigger than Carroll. Why
We
does
have
Carroll
bigger-
have to have
Yeah, we have, Glidden has one also. We have 2 28E agreements with,
do they do inspections? No. There we go.
I don't know if. it's-
No.
No, I know they
I don't
don't.
know either.
I have a good fishing buddy that lives in the city and lives outside the city. And
Is
they
it,
do
is it
no
city
inspection.
council that has made the 2 mile radius go out further, or is it the county supervisors?
Well,
I thought it was the city.
it's in the 28E is where it's explained.
Scott,
Yes.
there's a code section that specifically regulates 2 areas around the city.
It's
That's why it's
mandatory
2.
quarter-mile urban transition.
It's just it's 2 miles around. That's where the 2 miles comes from. And then the 28E was part of that agreement that they made.
Finds it.
But there's a 2 mile radius restriction within the code. From my reading of it. If that helps.
The city boundaries of the 2 mile area shall be drawn to conform to section lines of any section of land which has at least 75% of its area within the 2 miles of city limits. It shall be included in its entirety. That's the section on, right? So.
Okay, then why can't we resend that?
Okay. This is what we'll do. Obviously, I think you have some support here. I'm not going to say from anybody's opinion, but I think your voices are heard. We know that there are some discrepancies and people are upset. So what we will do is we will look into this, or the county attorney will look into this and see what our options are. I don't think you're getting a lot of pushback. What I would love to see is maybe a little bit more communication, work with, being able to do things. And I understand you just don't want any government a part of anything. I gotta respect your opinion too. But I think in some other instances, it would be nice to have everybody at the table, have that conversation, work together instead of against each other.
Well, if we would have been notified, we would have.
In 1995, sir, I wasn't.
I was like 9.
No, I don't think any of you were. And that's why it just kind of got slipped underneath the table.
So it's something that we definitely need to review, but our county attorney and our assistant county attorney need to look at it. We need to even look at what our options are.
So Aaron, as far as history, as far as Dan, fire district, so all the people within 2 mile is the Carroll Fire District, correct? So there.
No, it's a bigger area than that.
No.
It's-
We're on the litter, our house is on the litter hill, but our shop that we just built is on the litter hill.
There's a, it's.
Line fire district. But do you guys have any more input as far as Aaron or Sarah? Chris?
But I do want to appreciate everybody, and I do want you to understand that we will look into this and we will have conversations about this going forward.
Appreciate it.
But I appreciate you guys coming.
We thank you for that.
Yep.
Caleb Whitey, and I'll just kind of comment. I work for Iowans for Tax Relief, so our goal is to fight property taxes, and we normally don't like get involved with this kind of thing. But I have grandparents, I have strong roots around Carroll. I have my uncle owns a lot of real estate in Carroll, and so when there's a lot of people passionate about a subject, I love even taking my personal time to help them get organized. And so you've heard a lot of emotions, you've heard a lot of anger, you've heard a lot of frustration. But really like the goal is to retract the 2080 to like a half mile. Or take it back to that minimum quarter mile. Like that was the goal of the meeting. Or to be able to have the representation to vote for the city council. If we're gonna be, impeded by the city, we want to be able to vote for the people on the city council, or we want to be able to have the city discount on the golf club membership or on the rec center membership. They just want to have a voice if they're gonna be, impeded by different permits, whether for a building or the hassle of, I think it was Dick was his name, who had a welding shop and he wanted to build another shop to paint those John Deere parts. And he was running into some issues and going back and forth with the city on whether painting John Deere parts was an ag exempt building or not.
Yeah, look what that cost him.
And so they're just looking to retract the 2080, which from my understanding, our lawyers took a look at. The council can redact that to that quarter mile. So, and the 2080 is put in place for the city of Carroll to grow. That's the whole reason. If the city needed to expand, all of a sudden, boom, Carroll, goes up another 3,000 people. Well, the city is gonna have to push out those limits, and that's what that 2080 is to allow the city to grow, and for some reason, if Carroll had a boom in population, so. The council, from our attorneys taking a look at it, the council has the power to retract it to that state quarter mile minimum. Or even a half mile, whatever you guys choose to set it at, you guys have the ability to lift those restrictions on all of those people because you have the power to retract it. So we've heard a lot of different things, but those I would say were the two goals from my understanding that these people are looking for, either voter representation and to retract the 2080. But thank you for
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Because there is a reason why we have planning and zoning, whether it's a half mile or 2 mile, it's organized economic development. I think everybody in this room would agree. There's a reason why we have something. And I can understand and respect that you guys want to take it from 2 miles to a half mile or altogether. So thank you for bringing that to us.
It doesn't have to be gone.
And Marcy, I know you guys understand that there is a reason why cities have that so they can grow in the future, and if you organize a comprehensive plan.
Well, let me make one comment. The city has not grown in the last 20 years.
Hasn't grown in the last
30 years.
60.
Pardon?
It hasn't grown in the last 60.
Yeah, so that's another moot point to me. And to us. Fair?
Fair. Well, thank you, everybody, for, sorry about
Thank
the
you.
noise.
Thank you.
Sorry about the room.
Thanks, Mary.
Yeah.
That's right.
Against the schlock or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Trying to.
Yeah.
Have it out.
No. Hey, how are you? You know, he's fishing right now. Nothing at the book. Go on. Fourth of July, we put the midget every year. That's a walleye or two. No, I didn't.
People fish.
Yeah, I do. Really good. Yeah. Have a good day. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, see you guys. Yeah. So, yeah. The agreement references the once again, understanding that was an issue.
I think I saw the
Fourth and
hazmat folks.
any idea where that is? I've asked that before.
Sorry, what? I can't hear you.
Just a year.
Because it's incorporated by this. So you think the county had it or the city?
Should be the recorder's office.
Yeah.
Just says the city and the county entered into a memorandum of understanding in November of 1984. It says to the extent that it's not in conflict, it's reaffirmed and essentially incorporated. So I just think you need to find that. I couldn't find it. But
I think I found it when we were talking about this.
So you think the 95 agreement actually was in 84?
I think it's 1984.
No, so in 1984, they had a memorandum,
Then we got one more thing.
they had a memorandum of understanding.
I heard that.
And this was, I pulled this up to Secretary of State, so
I
I
know.
think it's actually filed with the Secretary of State.
Hello.
I see. But once again, I just looked this morning, so.
Oh, and that's fine. I'm just glad you're here.
The things we talked about a while back, you said can be changed if we were to change. Sure.
See anything else for me? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I already had a copy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, have a good day.
Yep.
Get my shirts soon.
Drop in line.
Let me know.
It is now.
What is it?
No, I appreciate it.
We'll get the right one.
It's the first one that's actually silver one here.
So.
See the keys on.
Don't take a picture.
See.
Looks just like yours. Yours is exactly the same.
We all want to be like Christie, bro.
No. Okay. Item
Oh.
number 7 is 10:30 region 5 hazmat presentation. Good morning. Good morning. Do you both want to come sit up here?
We'll do whatever you want.
Okay. You're in the hot seat now. We'll do introductions minutes. Welcome to this. Stephanie Rosman, supervisor.
Scott Johnson, supervisor.
Cindy Scalrigo, supervisor.
Courtney Pyer, auditor.
Mike Anderson, supervisor.
Devin Schuster, Fort Dodge Fire.
Andy Bentley, team coordinator for Region 5 estimate.
So you guys have a presentation first. I'm gonna give you guys for this is the first time in 6 years that I've been on board that I've got to see this jump. Yeah, I've heard about it.
We're proud of it, so you can peek at it if you want.
So we did, at our last hazmat meeting, we had all discussed them possibly coming here and just telling us what the taxpayers are getting for their money. So
It's awesome.
Yeah, so Region 5 Hazmat is a collection of 9 counties throughout the area. Carroll, Green, Hamilton, Webster, Kelvin, Stack, Pocahontas, Humboldt, and Wright. We are a 22-member team based out of Fort Dodge Fire Department, kind of a separate entity within the Fort Dodge Fire Department, so all our members are firefighters, paramedics, the city of Fort Dodge. So training wise, hazmat technician, we are all hazmat technicians. It is an initial 80-hour course, so it's 2 weeks, 40 hours for each week for the 2 weeks, and then we do an annual team refresher, which is 24 hours. Plus, we do monthly training, job performance evaluations, so just keeping up on our skills and everything. So we're getting anywhere from 36 to 40 hours of training each year as well. We do send people out to specialty places like Lieutenant Schuster here was just out in Pueblo, Colorado last week, right?
Yep.
Doing highway emergency response training, so we try to send 2 people out there every year, very good training. It's FEMA funded training, so we just pay the wages for it while they're down, basically. So the hotel, travel and everything is covered. We do host various classes throughout the region. We do have an HMEP grant where we have training available to all the local fire departments within our region. If they request training, we'll send people out to give them hazmat operations, updates, refreshers, things like that.
So our firefighters can utilize that? You do?
Yeah, we get around, so, they just gotta get a hold of us, request a class, and then, April kind of sets everything up, gets an instructor lined up, and we get in contact with the local department. Kind of see what training they want and kind of make it specific towards them if they're looking for a specific thing. So we do incident command, decon, just the regular operations type things, so.
We also do specialized classes like ethanol, ammonia. If they want they want to take a little bit higher level class, they can request that and have instructors for that as well.
So that everybody's aware, and I know enough just a little bit to be dangerous, because I haven't sat on here as a board, but out of those 9 counties, each county constituent pays a per capita rate, correct?
Yep.
Is it that 9 counties is that all that set the same, or is it different?
No, it's the same, it's
That
a
across the
dollar,
board? Okay.
$1.50. For that's all 9 counties. So.
Do you see, do you have higher call volume in Fort Dodge? Do you have areas where there is higher?
I do have the call breakdown.
You go as far east as I-35.
Yep, we do
So
cover.
is the interstate keep you guys busy then?
It just depends, we don't necessarily know about all the calls that happen.
Oh.
So it's up to the local fire departments to call us if they have an incident and we want some things, so. Typically what we see is the departments or the counties that we go teach these operations refreshers and everything in, we typically give them a call. So Webster County by far is our biggest one, just because we're right there, we're local, people call us quite a bit, so.
Yeah.
But other than that, here's our call on the breakdown if you want to put that up.
So you could come here and do a training class? Would that benefit you all? If they were to come here and do some type of training for?
But it's probably been 6 or 7 years since we've had them down and did a training for us on Monday night. I think last one, we set up one. Then,
Yeah, we did the truck county a couple years ago and so.
yeah. And our calls ourselves, if there's a fuel spill and things like that, a lot of that stuff, if it's something we can get.
Yeah.
Instead of an issue.
Typically, that has to do with the railroad, they can
That'd
help
be-
you isolate it and they take care of it
That would
themselves.
be a different scenario if that happened.
Is that normally how they
So,
operate, isolate it and then they come in?
yeah,
No, that
the,
it won't reimburse. Correct?
uh,
They have their own team and they say, keep you guys out, or am I?
it's really up to it's kind of a wishy-washy area. If the local fire department calls us, we will definitely respond. So like the different railroads, kind of the big misnomer is, like, the guy that covers Carroll County here is based out of Council Bluffs. So if he's Union Pacific, he does got the main line here. That guy's based out of Council Bluffs. He's one guy, and then they just rely on private contractors to do that. So, if the local fire department wants us, we'll definitely come and do air monitoring. We can get suited up and go stop at these. 72 months.
Exactly.
Governed.
Now, you tell Mark Campbell that I said their number is 108, ours is 7, they need it.
I heard it before, but
Can I see
No.
that?
yeah. So like I
Thanks,
said, it just depends on, we know incidents are happening, we just don't call.
Yeah.
So, minor things, and I don't have the number of phone calls we take, we will give advice to the phone, so like, if these guys give us a call, hey, we're just gonna run this by you. Do you guys need to come down, want to come down, we'll give them advice over the phone. It's up to us as to whether we think we can respond or not.
Yeah.
Go from there.
So I know that Summit was presented at the last meeting, last hazmat meeting. And they said they were gonna do training. And I know that the the ethanol plant in Coon Rapids is technically across the line in Guthrie, but Carroll citizens would be affected if something were to happen. If that, pipeline situation happens, would it be possible to include some folks from our fire department in that training? Because I think it will be important that they understand how to respond as well. It's uncharted territory.
And I've had calls from Poet down there,
Mhm.
done a training on extrication or a rescue, high-rise rescue, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We've never been involved with the rail side of that.
I'm talking about the pipelines that they're talking about putting the CO2. So that's gonna be a different animal, so I just wanna make sure that they're in the loop
Yeah,
and able to come to that training.
yeah,
when it-
Carbon
when it
Summit
happens.
Solutions, I've been to multiple meetings up in Wright County for that actually, and they're saying if the pipeline gets approved, they're gonna go county to county. Have these trainings available for different departments, but once they get approved, get a training
Thank you,
set
sir.
up. We'll definitely let people know that they're going through it, and the company itself, wherever their pipeline is going to run, I think they will be contacting the local departments to give them training and seeing if they want any equipment to assist in that.
So how far does this go back? Is that 15 years
That-
history, or
That is the best we could do with the history we have.
so is it 10 years, 15 years? I
Thirty.
don't know of any that have I'm not aware of any in the last recent years that have come to Carroll.
The,
But I've only been on this 6 years, so.
yeah, I think 1993 or 95 is when the
Yeah, 30 years,
30 years.
so
Yeah.
7 times.
Do you guys mind if I back up to the whole rail car comment?
Go ahead.
Specific?
Go ahead.
So what Andy mentioned was they have one guy who covers this area. He covers a very large area. So there's nothing saying that incident happens here in Carroll County, he's gonna be available to respond from Council Bluffs right away. He could be states away. Or doing some type of inspection where we are actually fully capable to get suited up, dressed up, and we could actually mitigate that incident prior to him even getting there. Now, when Union Pacific shows up, they are in charge of actually taking the cars and pulling them apart, dispersing them. That's their main job. Our job is to go in and fix the leak, stop it from spreading to town or harming people. So
But you guys can only get activated by a fire chief, or the comm center can't call you, the communications center.
it's gotta be the
911,
fire chief and
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Which makes sense.
So let's,
On any call.
on anything, yeah, we look for the fire chiefs.
Yeah.
We do get calls from private facilities at some time, like we have been to the plant, the Poet plant in Coon Rapids. I thought it was in Carroll County. They called us directly and said, hey, we guys want you to come down. We had this incident happen, so honestly, I look at the map and see exactly.
A quarter mile out.
Yeah, so we went down there I can't even remember, 6 months ago, within the past year, we were down there or something, and then. And we do have private facilities that will call us and tell us that, hey, we got this going on, can you guys come out and help us out?
Yeah.
So, our primary job is mitigation of things, so, we're gonna go in and do a damage assessment and stop whatever's leaking, slow it down, do the best we can to stop it and make life safety, make it the place habitable again, so then clean up and get in and they're clean and done. So we stop the problem, it's up to the spiller to clean up the mess. We'll do a little bit of cleanup, but we're not digging out ditches or anything like that for fuel spills, so. Acids and everything like that, we'll put into overpacks and stuff, but we'll leave those on site and it's up to the facility or the spiller to have that all the way.
So you don't clean it, you just stop it. Or mitigate.
I mean, we do a little bit of cleanup, some little fuel spill, stuff like that, throw heat moss down.
Yeah.
Sweep it up and everything, but typically we're not doing smaller things, we're doing bigger,
yeah.
Like a tanker truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the capabilities to drill into tanker trucks and offload them, we have pumps we can offload. But dealing with the larger volumes like that, we're gonna have to call in another tanker truck for us to pump into. So our truck, we carry the capability to house about 300 gallons. But other than that, we can't carry that many over back.
More of a quick response.
Yeah.
Yep.
So our main goal is the mitigation of the problem, just kind of stop it and then, gases, anything like that, we do have air monitoring capabilities to make sure the place is safe. So we go in, we'll stop the problem, then we'll monitor the air, make sure it's safe for, anyone to go in, just wearing regular gloves.
I think that you said this, a list of all the areas that are all Carroll County has lots of hazardous chemicals and.
Yeah, the tier 2 facilities. Yep.
I was unaware of some of those exist.
Yeah, that's why you guys have a hazmat.
It was 40 some, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Several businesses I had no clue.
things that you don't think about with
And all it takes is
fertilizer.
one incident to really make a huge mess, and cause a big problem, and could cause a lot.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what our main goal is to stop that before it spreads to bigger, yes, so.
Really quick
It's one of those things, you don't use it till you need it.
Right.
And then when you need it right now.
So why don't you guys relocate closer to.
Well, I appreciate your time. Does anybody have any more questions? Should we adjourn and then go out and look at the truck?
Yep.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We adjourn. Thanks, everybody.